This is the Horror Movie Show on hmpod.com, hosted by Jerry and Mark, your one-stop shop for all horrible movie reviews. From the latest blockbusters and independent films to classics, let Mark and Jerry convince you the world is a dangerous place, though often good for a laugh. Now come and listen to the Horror Movie Show, if you dare.
Hey folks, Jerry here.
And Mark.
Coming back to you with the Horror Movie Show after a prolonged holiday. What did you get up to this summer, Mark?
I'm working for your lovely Teresa.
Yes, that's right, the amazing Trixie.
She's got me doing manual labor now.
Yes, Mark has changed his name to Manuel Labor.
That's right.
He's out digging and shoveling. So, we just decided, more like I decided to hide in the closet with a blanket over my head this year and just take it easy.
Well, you had your operation. And
I had nasal polyps removed, which is about as much fun as it sounds, folks. They reach up there. Well, one guy reaches up there with.
Not everybody knows what a nasal polyp is.
Yeah, it's like a little finger of flesh that grows down from the roof of the nasal cavity, the sinus.
Is as good as it sounds.
Yeah, and the doc he freezes you inside your head as best he can, which is not that good, and then he reaches up with a sort of flat-ended pair of forceps, and he grabs it by as close to the base as he can, and then it's a matter of twisting and tearing, which you can both feel and hear. At least
there's no cutting.
I could.
It's tearing.
It's ripping.
Wow.
It's ripping it. He rips it out. And the biggest one was about as big as my little finger.
So now you know what it's like to be mummified.
Yeah.
You're going to pull your brain out next.
Yeah. My sinuses have been bad ever since then, so I think maybe I got an infection. But I'm going to go see him tomorrow and everything will be cool. Everything will be cool.
Well, are you sleeping better now, right?
No, because I think I got sinus infection. So,
jeez.
Still, it's just one thing after the other. This is probably all due to allergies. I also wanted to say that I've been plugging my friend M.F. Wall's first novel. It's a zombie apocalypse-based novel called Disease. She's a good writer out of Halifax, Nova Scotia, the real Halifax.
Why, is there a fake one?
Yeah, there's one in Massachusetts, I heard.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one of our...
Isn't there one in Europe as well?
Yes, in Britain there's a Halifax. That, of course, is where the name comes from. An American friend of ours on the crypt said, Halifax, Massachusetts? And my answer was, no, the real
one.
The real Halifax. Like when people ask Vancouver, Washington?
Yeah.
Hell no. Wouldn't be caught dead in Vancouver, Washington.
Actually, my son wants to go down there just to see what it's like.
Oh, it's a college town. It's very nice, but it's a dull little town, I think.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's right next to Portland.
Yeah.
It's over the river.
Yeah. Portland is cool. All right, so that's a couple of things out of the way. Now we got some new movies, and we've got a lot of independent movies to talk about in this show.
Yeah, I found that a lot of the movies we've watched lately have to do with getting retribution.
Revenge, do they?
Revenge, yeah. Actually, some of them are very good.
So that's an old theme, that's for sure. Very biblical. The first movie is kind of vengeance. The Purge Anarchy, made this year, 2014, written and directed by James DeMonaco, who's the same dude who made the first Purge movie. This one has a rather different attitude and a very different feel from the first one, which had named stars in it. This one, Frank Grillo plays one of the main characters, and I've certainly heard his name, but most of these actors I don't know well. Carmen Ejogo or Eyogo, Zach Gilford, Kylie Sanchez, Zoe Soul, Justina Machado, and Michael K. Williams. Most of them are names I've heard, but not well known. No, not like the first movie. So, again, the setup is that once a year for 12 hours overnight in the United States, lawlessness reigns supreme. There's no emergency services. There is no help. If you are the target of maniacs who want to chop you into pieces, cook you and eat you, they're allowed to do that. And this supposedly is the solution to all of society's violence and woes set forward by the so-called new founding fathers. So.
Now, we can talk about the movie, and I enjoyed the movie, but the whole idea still bothers the
really
hell out of me.
Stupid, isn't it? Yeah.
It doesn't solve anything.
No, of course not.
Nothing.
No. And the fallout from a night like that.
Yeah, would go on.
You'd feel it for
repercussions
for the rest of your life in some cases.
And there are revenges that are happening from the last one and things like that. The only people that benefit from this are crooks. And
people who sell guns.
Yes.
And home security
and people
systems.
who love to do violence.
Yeah.
I mean, the violent offenders.
Yeah.
It's a holiday for them.
The idea that there isn't any violence the rest of the year, I mean, that's just kind of silly. What are these maniacs doing the rest of the year? They're just like, only 364 days to go.
Yeah.
It's like Christmas all year round.
It is. It's their Christmas.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Very
Whereas
silly.
the rest of the community are huddled in their homes, frightened little lambs.
Sure,
They don't even have weapons,
Well, they can
to defend themselves. And then people get caught outside.
So the first movie was about a family, and the dad sold home security systems. So they think that they're going to be okay. But, of course, any maniac with a will find a way into any sort of private home. This one has to do with a car breaking down, and it's sabotaged and it breaks down. And the people inside of it, that's Carmen and Zach playing Eva and Shane. They're running for their lives, and they meet up with other people and friends and so on. But even the friends can turn pretty maniacal, and they think they're in a safe haven for the evening, and they're going to have, some nice Latino grub and a few drinks, and the next thing you know, one of the sisters is opening fire on her husband.
No, it was
her husband, her cheating husband,
her cheating,
and her sister.
No, she fires on her sister first, and then ends up killing just about everyone else in the family too.
Lots of death there.
But I liked this one in that it was.
I liked it better than the first one.
Yeah, because you're on the street, you're running around. There are factions running around, and there is sort of a government conspiracy happening.
Yes, this is to kill poor people, essentially.
Yeah,
that's the deal. And Michael K. Williams' character, he plays Carmelo Jones, and he's leader of a sort of anti-government force that just wants to take back control, and he of course wants to eliminate the purge, which is just a tool for the rich to eliminate poor people.
Yeah. The rich are doing two things. One, they're hiring people to go capture other people so that they can hunt them in a controlled environment.
Yeah.
And then there's also the ones that actually hire poor people to come to their place so that they can kill them for money.
Yeah.
So the poor people family gets money. So I thought it was kind of...
Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But,
I thought that was kind of cool, the way there are different types of nastiness happening all over the place.
Yes, it was really enjoyable, of course, to see near the end, without giving too much away, to see some of the poor people who have been captured to serve as prey for the rich, to see the prey turn on the rich and be tougher than they were supposed to be.
They mentioned that this is the last purge of the night, so they've obviously done a couple of other groups before this last group gets in.
Right.
It's very well done. It's like they're in a paintball place, and but with real ammo.
Yeah, real guns.
Yeah, and of course poor people don't have any weapons, just the rich.
They're not supposed to, but they get a hold of some.
Yeah, well, one of them
quickly.
was quite good at what he does.
The police sergeant, who starts the evening out just for revenge and sort of gets turned a little bit because he can't help but come to the aid of some innocent people. And then the next thing you know, they've kept him with them by lying to him, and his opportunity for murder gets later and later and later. So, there's a lot of nice little subplots going on in the movie. As I say, it's much more successful telling of this kind of story than the first one was, and I was hoping it would be. I think I predicted that this one would be a little more interesting than the first one.
Right.
But what a silly concept.
It is a silly concept. But like you said, this one is much more enjoyable to watch than the first.
Yeah.
Because the first it's done mostly in one house.
Yeah, it's a family thing.
A family house, and they're being terrorized from people outside and being betrayed by their friends and all this stuff. Whereas this one had a little of that, and it was more of a let's survive the night kind of feel to it.
Yeah, although I did enjoy the plot twists at the end of the first Purge movie. Now, speaking of silly, our next movie, 2014 movie, Guardians of the Galaxy, and it isn't horror, of course.
But it's a big budget movie.
Big budget, nothing but special effects in this one. Certainly not story or acting.
Well, according to you, anyway.
Yeah. So, directed by James Gunn, written by Gunn and Nicole Perlman. Stars Chris Pratt as Peter Quill, Zoe Saldana as Gamora, Dave Bautista as Drax, Vin Diesel, now the voice of Vin Diesel is Groot, could have been anybody, Bradley Cooper as Rocket the Raccoon, also could have been anybody, Lee Pace as Ronan, Michael Rooker from The Walking Dead as Yondu, Karen Gillan, Nebula, John C. Reilly, I always like him as Corman Day, Glenn Close is the president of the planet Nova Prime, and Benicio del Toro as the Collector. There's a million people in here, most of them so slathered in makeup you can't even tell them from a total stranger. Now,
but that's nothing new these days.
So, based on a comic book, and listeners of our show will guess that I found the lack of good writing and good characters to be make this movie just fail, whereas Mark found it delightful, charming, entertaining, clever.
I disagree. I disagree with you just about in every aspect.
Yeah. Explain to me why this is a good movie.
I think there's a good pace to it. I think the music's really good of it. The characters are well defined. I think that each one...
But you've read the comics.
No, I haven't.
You haven't?
No.
Okay.
Each one has a backstory that is interesting, that they touch upon in just about each of the characters. I think the movie goes along, and I love the interactions between the main characters because they are not friends. They are just kind of like on a journey together, and they are kind of pushed together.
I would say they're pushed together in a haphazard fashion.
Yeah, because at first they're hunting each other. There's two sets of bounty hunters going after the Chris Pratt character, the Star-Lord, because he's acquired some sort of globe that has something in it.
Yeah.
We don't know where it's stolen from. It looks like some sort of catacomb or something like that he's stolen it from. It doesn't seem to be anybody there, so he's just kind of retrieved it.
He's not an archaeologist. He's a thief.
Well,
he says that himself.
Well, he may be a thief, but there wasn't anyone to steal from there. It was just sitting there.
There were people defending it.
What, were there?
Of course there were. He was attacked on the planet.
No, I don't remember him being attacked other than by animals that were on the planet.
That's hardly...
Anyway, and I thought that the way that the story was told was entertaining. I thought there was humor throughout the whole thing.
Oh, childish humor.
No, it wasn't. There was some really funny...
How about the love relationship between the green-skinned gal and the main dude?
That wasn't a deep love relationship. It was just two people getting to know each other. And I know you think it's a childish kind of thing.
Very childish.
Yeah, but then again, they were childish kind of people. It's not a love story. It's an action movie.
That's supposed to be one aspect of the story, is this developing love between the two of them.
In the midst of chaos, they find each other, and only briefly, you know?
But she's acting like an 8-year-old girl, Keep your hands off me.
She's
boys.
She hasn't had a great upbringing, being a stepdaughter of Thanos.
I just found this Peter Quill character to be so obnoxious. He's a rogue. Oh, well, we don't have to explain much about him. So you get one scene at the beginning where his mum dies, and then he's kidnapped by aliens, and that's supposed to explain his roguish character, because he's been... raised by pirates.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, that would have been more interesting than the story we're presented.
Yeah.
It also really, really made me angry that not once but twice in this movie, his butt is saved by more villains showing up and doing battle.
Hey,
that is the chintziest,
They do it in all of these movies.
Twice?
They do it in all these movies. Iron Man does it all the time. Thor gets rescued in the last second. Everybody gets rescued in the last second.
It doesn't matter getting rescued. It's a matter of more villains showing up to fight the first group of villains. That's such a chintzy...
those were the pirates that raised the guy. So, they're after him. They're continually seeking him out. So, they're looking for him, they find him.
So many people, at just the exact right second. So many people have just, blindly said, oh, this is the best movie of the summer. The reason? There aren't any good movies this summer. This has been a real poor summer.
I disagree. I really liked this movie.
Big budget movies.
I thought it was
but what other good movies were there? What are you comparing it to?
I like the one with Tom Cruise, that movie.
Yeah, at least that was aimed at grown-ups, I thought.
Yeah, but it was a good movie.
Yeah?
You're saying what other good movies? That's a good movie.
That's one.
I haven't seen a lot of movies in the theater this year.
There haven't been movies worth going to.
What was the other...
There was sequels.
The Spider-Man movie was a disappointment. The X-Men movie, I thought it was a slight mediocre. Yeah, I agree with that. So of the Marvel movies, I think this is the best of the lot.
Yeah, but that's damning with...
No, it's not. I'm saying I like this movie, and I think people will. I don't know why you have this hate for it, but I thought the whole way it was presented with bringing in the old nostalgic music and how they tied that into it.
It's just so gimmicky.
But it was good music. I like that music, so it just adds to me, not takes away. Whereas you're looking at, I've seen this before.
Yeah.
I'm going, it's an entertaining movie.
Well, it wasn't enough for me. I want something more like our next movie. I want a good script. Child of God, 2013 movie directed by James Franco. The screenplay written by Franco and Vince Jolivet, based on the novel by the great Cormac McCarthy. He wrote The Road and many other great books. Stars Scott Hayes as the main character, Lester Ballard, who's described at the beginning as being a child of God, which essentially means he's mentally deranged. Nobody wants to take control, and nobody can take control of him, and nobody wants to take responsibility for him. Tim Blake Nelson plays the aptly named Sheriff Fate. Jim Parrick plays his deputy, Deputy Cotton, and there's quite a few other actors in this movie. James Franco shows up later on as a character named Jerry, but he's hardly in it. And
I didn't even realize it was him.
No, it doesn't. Could have been anybody.
It could have been anyone, and he just plays like the leader of a bunch of guys. Lynch mob kind of guy.
Yeah. So this is a very weird movie. At the beginning of the movie, we meet Lester, and he's very, very upset. He seems to be living in the woods, and he's very, very upset that the old family property is on the auction block.
Yeah.
But he hasn't owned it. His dad's long dead. Nobody has owned in his family has owned this property for a long time. He's got absolutely no say in the matter, but he comes in and he threatens everybody with a gun until he's knocked unconscious, and then it's just a series of events in this man's life until eventually he becomes a murdering necrophiliac.
Yeah. And which happens kind of like accidentally.
Yeah, well, he is deranged. He's crazy when we meet him.
Yeah.
There isn't really an arc except how much crazier can he get. But he's already totally insane at the beginning.
And the fact that...
And he's nuts at the end. So there isn't really much of an arc in this movie for the main character. Yeah,
it's a real sad story. And
character study.
It is. It's a real dark story, and it's not a fast-moving story.
No.
It's this guy living in the wild and getting crazier and crazier, and nobody taking the time to help him out. Mm-hmm. They all know he exists. They all see him.
Yep.
They all say hi, you know, when he's around. The police all know about him.
Sheriff Fate keeps saying, well, now you're doing rape, hey? Well, what'll be next? Murder, I suppose.
Yeah.
You know, but doesn't do anything to stop him or help him. Just sort of cleans up after him.
Yeah, almost. Yeah. Almost like the fact you find out, from this one scene that a lot of women have disappeared.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't know that Lester's killed them all, but
he
may have.
He may have.
But even the first time, the first woman who accuses him of rape, she's as crazy as he is.
Yes.
And he doesn't rape her. She just accuses him of rape, and the sheriff sort of knows that, well, her word can't be taken anyway.
Yeah, because
so Lester isn't dragged in. The sheriff just says to him, well, now you're raping, huh?
Yeah.
Well, what'll come next? Murder? And Lester goes off, rambling into the woods again.
Yeah.
But it's just one crazy situation after another. And by the time, he in fact, he doesn't kill the woman that he becomes sexually involved with after she's dead.
Yeah.
He finds her corpse. It's a murder-suicide.
Yeah.
Or a double suicide of these young lovers. And he stumbles across them. He makes out with her in the back seat of the car that she died in. And then he goes away, but he's back again pretty quick to drag her home.
He drags her to this abandoned cabin.
This horrible little cabin.
And then he goes and buys her a dress.
Beautiful dress.
And then he's having conversations with her.
Yeah.
And then by accident, he lights the cabin on fire and everything goes up in smoke, including her.
Yeah.
So now he says, well, if I can have one relationship like that, why not another?
Yeah.
So he goes...
Or a whole bunch.
Yeah, so he goes searching for women now.
Yeah.
And it's a sad story.
It's horrible.
Then he ends up in a cave somewhere.
Big cave.
A big cave that has all sorts of different...
chambers.
Yeah, the chambers. Even the people looking for the women who suspect that he's doing it can't find them in this maze.
And it's filled with corpses. It's horrible. It's
that part bothered me because... You put a bloodhound in there, he's going to find those bodies in 5 seconds.
I think so. Yeah.
So it's like, give me a break. You don't have to go in there and try to look for it yourself.
Really good performance by Scott Hayes as poor Lester Ballard.
Oh, he has this lisp kind of way of talking.
Well, he mumbles.
And he's literally, nobody wants to even deal with him because he's so out of it.
Yeah.
But... You can understand him. It's a little hard sometimes, but most of the times you can understand his mumbling.
And he manages. This is the amazing thing. He manages to be sympathetic.
Yes.
At the same time as he's a murdering lunatic, because he's so obviously crazy and not responsible for his actions, and should be in a mental institution. He ought to be in a straitjacket, loaded up with drugs.
Yeah.
And nobody really gives a damn. And you just get the idea he's considered poor white trash, and poor white trash gets nothing.
So what did you think of Franco's attempt at direction?
Well, interesting. I read a little bit online, and it was an odd choice for him to do this. Some people thought he bit off more than he could chew, but I thought it was a good attempt.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was well made.
It was competent.
He captured that all sort of biblical quality that Cormac McCarthy has in his writing, almost an epic style to it. Certainly The Road is like that. It's the end of the world, and it's written as if it's another book of the Bible. It's very dramatic and big words and all that. And this one, I had that same sort of feeling, as if we're watching a really important story. But also, it's just a really sad little story.
Exactly, yeah.
And once all these people are dead, nobody will really remember it.
No.
So it'll all just vanish like dust in the wind.
Yeah. I thought it was very competently done. I thought for the subject matter, which is it was so depressingly and dark.
Depressing, yeah.
To be able to pull out sympathy for a character like that, that's a triumph for him.
Yeah.
I mean, that he did it well.
Yeah, I think so.
So
I look forward to his next movie.
It's well, I'm just saying that this movie, when you compare it to the Guardians of the Galaxy, they're just in different universes. In different galaxies, for that matter.
This guy kills a lot more people than anybody in Guardians of the Galaxy.
And it's mostly women.
Yeah.
So this is a good study on human behavior. There's no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm. Now, our next movie is made by a couple of Vancouver guys. These are local fellows, Derek Lee and Cliff Prowse. they wrote and directed Afflicted, a 2013 movie. Not only did they write and direct it, but they star in it as well. Derek Lee plays a character named Derek.
Imagine that.
Cliff Prowse plays a character named Cliff.
With one F.
Yes, that's right. The idea is that Derek has a brain weakness, an aneurysm, something that could burst. He's got a clump of defective
matter
veins in his head.
Yeah.
He could stroke out at any second. So he's always been kind of adventurous, and then he found out about this, and he concentrated on his schooling and work and stuff like that. But his friend Cliff has talked him into doing a big trip, and Cliff is going to videotape the whole thing. There's the found footage aspect of this story.
This is a actually quite well done found footage.
Yeah, it is. It's
because
one of the better
nice,
ones I've seen.
It's nice and clean. They're using good equipment, good production
they have
values.
Like button cams and stuff, so the camera is always on. And they head over to Europe. They're in France, and within their first week, Derek has managed to...
They go to a club.
Yeah, Derek has managed to sleep with this French woman. However, he's found in his hotel room the next morning by his friend, battered unconscious. So he comes to, and he's desperately against the idea of seeing a doctor or going to a hospital, because if he does that, he's positive that the doctor will say, well, in your condition, you should stay in the hospital or at least go home and see your doctor. You shouldn't be on the road. And Derek doesn't want to do that. Derek wants this last adventure, this around-the-world trip that he and Cliff are going to take and document.
Mm-hmm. So
Derek refuses to see a doctor, and his condition gets worse and worse, and he starts really physically getting ill. However, he's also getting super strong,
manifesting all sorts of weird powers, especially the strength.
He's strength, and he can climb up the outside of brick buildings like Spider-Man.
Yeah,
what the heck is going on?
So when they discover this, they do all these tests.
The two of them.
Yeah, the two of them are filming him do these weird things. And it's so well done because it's like it's found footage, except for the special effects.
Yeah, he's like Superman.
Yeah.
And we don't know why. Nobody knows why.
And the fact that he's getting sensitive to sunlight, all of a sudden he starts smoking. They're in a vineyard somewhere, and he starts smoking.
Yeah.
So he's running, and he ends up in the basement somewhere.
Right.
But they're going, what the heck was that? What's going on?
He can't eat food. He can't eat normal food. He's hungering for like raw meat, and then eventually just blood.
Yeah.
Well, they put two and two together, and they start figuring out he was attacked by a vampire.
Yeah.
And now the found footage becomes something altogether more valuable, because they're actually right now filming a person becoming a creature that couldn't possibly exist, but it does seem to exist.
Right.
Yeah. So, now there is of course trouble for them. Derek wants to find the original vampire who turned him, so that he can possibly be turned back into a human being. But things don't work out the way Derek and Cliff would like things to work.
No, they never do it.
No.
Found footage is right away, something bad's going to happen at the very end.
Oh, yeah.
Never fails.
But a really clever movie, I thought. Very simple story, how about a couple of friends go to Europe, one of them turns into a vampire. Sort of like American Werewolf in London.
Yeah.
Only American Werewolf in London is a straight sort of Hollywood-type movie.
Yeah, whereas this is haphazard kind of filming. Yeah. It's commando vampire movie.
Yeah, very, very low budget, I imagine, at least compared to something like American Werewolf in London. But a similar sort of story. What is the fallout for a normal person suddenly being turned into a supernatural creature? There is no
And they do end up finding the original vampire, and there are questions, and there's a nice dialogue, and there are reasons why she turned him instead of killed him.
Right.
All this stuff. So it's very well done. Yeah.
Yeah.
His friend, even though doesn't
Cliff.
quite make it.
Yeah.
He's there to help him along as best as he can.
Oh, yeah, they're good buddies. Our next movie is another independent film, 2 Bedroom, 1 Bath, it's called. 2014 movie, written and directed by Stanley Young. Stars Michelle Hicks as Rachel, Andrew W. Walker as her husband Kevin, Dee Wallace, who's been in a million
Yeah, well, how does she end up
horror and science fiction movies. She was the mum in E.T.
I guess you can get Dee Wallace to do almost anything.
She's working hard in the horror industry. She plays Rose, or Rosemary Lincoln, not to give too much away. Shelby Young plays Sienna. Costas Mandylor plays the neighbor, Frank. And good old Eric Roberts plays Dr. Tenenbaum. He's hardly in it, but my goodness, that man has great hair.
Yeah,
Doesn't he?
If it's still his, I don't know.
Like
but
steel wool.
Yeah,
growing out of
it
his
does.
head.
It is
Beautiful.
It looks like a great wig.
Yeah, well, I'll bet it isn't.
But it looks like a great wig.
Yeah, it's just...
Old people...
Costas Mandylor, completely wasted in this movie. Apart from a few glowers and a few angry comments, you see him from a distance for the most part. He's sort of like up on a balcony or through a wall yelling at his girlfriend. He's a good actor when he's got something more to do, but this movie really focuses on the two main characters, the husband and wife.
Pregnant couple.
Yeah, well, not pregnant. They're trying to get pregnant. They've been trying for a while. She keeps either not responding to the in vitro fertilization techniques, or she has miscarriages.
Right.
The husband at one point finds her unconscious in the bathtub full of blood, and the first thing he does is checks her wrist, see whether she's trying to kill herself.
Right.
But no, in fact, it was just a very gruesome miscarriage. But eventually, yes, she does become pregnant, and it appears, at least, that she becomes pregnant the first time they make normal love in, God knows how long, because you get the idea the husband is pretty frustrated.
Yeah.
Every time he makes a move on her, she's either just had a miscarriage and she's not interested, or he's waking her up like in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to be the most sensitive fella.
Not really. It's just, it was almost like there was two groups of people making this movie.
Right.
For some of it was really slickly done,
right,
and some of it looked like it was like amateur hour.
Right.
I mean, the sound was in and out.
Right.
Even the editing seemed to be bad in some areas.
Do you know? I'll say this. Because we talked about a movie that certainly I watched on Vimeo, a screener copy of a recent movie we talked about, and I remember we both agreed that the light was going up and down in scenes, and the director contacted me and said, you dirty swine. No, he said, thanks for the review, but I'll tell you, if you're watching it on Safari, if you're watching Vimeo on Safari, that can really make the light levels go up and down. He said he's had a lot of troubles with that himself. And so this time, when a movie started doing that, when the light started flickering from too dark to fine to too dark again, I stopped watching it on Safari and started watching it on Firefox, and it improved immensely.
Yeah,
but it could just have to do with.
I don't have a shitty Mac. I have PC, so I'm on Firefox anyway.
Right.
So I don't get Safari.
Right.
Some of these movies are the budget is low, and and this one I found that some of the scenes were really slick and looked great.
Right.
And it was just weird. It was like some of the scenes looked like it was like the quality just dropped.
Well, I'll tell you, it looked fine to me once I.
And same with the sound. The sound
again, Mark. I'm telling you, it looked perfectly fine to me. So it could just be that. I'm
watching it on a big screen, expensive.
But that doesn't matter what you're watching it on. It's a matter of how good a copy did you make. Because if downloading it, you're getting a lousy copy. It doesn't matter if you're watching it.
It's digital. It's the same. The quality doesn't change.
Well, then why did it look fine on mine and not on your much more expensive TV?
I don't know.
Because
I'm saying
it must have been the copy you were watching.
It's the same copy as you're watching.
It can't be. I'm watching the copy downloaded to Vimeo.
Yes.
Right. So
and that's what I'm watching.
Vimeo.
And that's what I'm watching as well.
But you're downloading it, right?
Off of Vimeo.
So why is it looking different?
I don't know.
Exactly. There must be differences.
No, it's the same copy. You're not playing it through a browser. You're playing it through a video program.
Right. But I was playing it through a browser and it looked fine.
All I'm saying is it was a vast difference in, and the sound was popping in and popping out,
well,
and the editing
copy was fine.
And the editing was weird.
I'm saying my copy was perfectly fine. You can't blame the movie. I don't know what the problem was with you watching it, but my copy was perfectly fine. So I don't want to give people the idea that it's an inferior movie. If that stops people from watching it, that's a bad thing. My copy was perfectly fine. So now, of course, with a title like 2-bedroom, 1 bath, you know that the apartment that they're in, that they bought, in fact, is a weird setup. People buy little tiny apartments in this sort of rundown building. And this apartment that they're living in, of course, is the reason that there's all kinds of scary stuff going on. There are things under the floorboards, little corpses.
There's some really good dream sequences. They're very frightening.
So the place is haunted, essentially. And the interesting thing to me was how the haunting came about.
Yeah.
And if I was rating this movie, I'd give it like a 3 out of 5. I wouldn't say it's a great movie, but I thought for a low budget movie, I thought it was nicely done. I thought
it had its moments as well.
Yeah. Dee Wallace is always fun. She's not in it a lot, but she comes across so damn perky, and you find out later why she's so damn perky.
Yes. The dream sequences, there were quite a few of them because they're living in a haunted house, basically.
Yeah.
I didn't get the idea that they actually purchased the place, but it turns out, they purchased this place, but it looks like it's not in a great building.
A crappy apartment.
Yeah.
With real crappy neighbors. I think I would check into the place a little more before I bought it.
Yeah.
Now, Mark hasn't seen this, but I'll just briefly mention a short movie, about 20 minutes long, called Lucid, 2013 movie, written and directed by P.J. Woodside. She's involved. She's one of the partners in a production company called Big Biting Pig, and you can check them out online, see some of their movies, I think. Lucid stars Brittany Saylor as Monica, Michael Kuhn as her husband Kevin, Scott Cummings as Dr. Aaron Knight, and there's several other actors in there too. And the gist of Lucid is a young woman who's having terrible, terrible nightmares about either killing her husband or being killed by her husband. She goes to a hypnotherapist, a psychologist in any case, and he delves deeply into her troubled dreams, and things don't get better. They get much, much worse, and it really manages to blur the line between her being awake and being asleep, and her husband is equally angry with her in both states eventually, so that her reality is sort of becoming this nightmare where they're so hostile towards each other that actual murder takes place. So she's terrified that there is going to be murder done, and that is probably making her sleep worse. You know what I mean? Like
it's a
very good
vicious cycle, a catch-22 kind of thing happening.
A really nightmarish situation for her to be in.
Yeah.
And very well done, I thought. So I just wanted to mention that, especially as we're talking about 2-bedroom, 1 bath, which had a lot of dream stuff in it. Lucid was really good, and if they turn it into a feature length, I would certainly be happy to see that. So check out Big Biting Pig Productions, folks. Now, the last movie we want to talk about is big sequel to a movie that was surprisingly popular last year, Sharknado 2.
The second one.
I loved this movie. It was so stupid. It was so funny. intentionally funny.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It means like if you tried to do this seriously, it would fail miserably.
Yeah.
But this was done tongue-in-cheek all the way through.
All the way through.
Everybody and their dog wanted to have a cameo in this show.
This one starts with a rip-off, an intentional, obvious rip-off of the first Airplane movie.
Yeah.
Where the fin, the back tail fin of the airplane is seen going through the clouds and the Jaws music and that. And who is flying this plane?
Robert
Hayes, the emergency pilot from the Airplane movie. And he even makes a comment about what did he have for dinner? Was it chicken or fish? Oh, yeah, I was going to have the fish, which is what killed everybody on the airplane in that Zucker comedy. Oh, it was so funny. I really enjoyed it. So I'll just list off a bunch of the people who are in it. Main character is Ian Ziering, who plays, I love this name, Finn Shepard. Tara Reid is back as his ex-wife and current girlfriend, April Wexler, and she's getting pared down. She loses a hand early on in this movie.
That was, I was surprised at that.
And then she's sort of like bionic for the rest of the movie. Vivica A. Fox plays Sky Mark McGrath, who I think he's a musician and he's a TV host as well on some talent show. He plays Martin Brody, which of course is the name of the chief in Jaws.
And there's actually a Quinn in there too.
Oh, right.
Quint or whatever.
Carrie Werr plays Ellen Brody, his wife. Judd Hirsch plays Ben. Downtown Julie Brown, always good to see her. She's back. She plays Nurse Fletcher, which makes me think of Nurse Ratched, played by Louise Fletcher. Billy Ray Cyrus, Andy Dick, Robert Hayes, Perez Hilton. Robert Klein pops in, great comedian. He plays the mayor.
Yeah.
Matt Lauer and Al Roker play themselves.
I thought they were funny.
Kelly Osbourne gets murdered pretty early on, which is a fine thing. Kelly Ripa. Timothy Roberts is in it, playing Toronto Mayor Rob Ford. They try to be topical. And this Sharknado 2 comes across more as a sort of Mad Magazine parody of a horror movie.
Yeah, but it's funny that they would parody another comedy.
Yeah.
Another parody kind of thing. Because Airport was what they were...
Airplane?
Yeah. Airplane was parodying Airport.
Yes. All those movies. Fun.
I like the fact that Judd Hirsch plays a taxi driver.
Yes, that's
because he is a taxi driver in Taxi.
Right.
They try, there's little touches all over the place.
Yeah, it's nicely done. And much denser with the comedy than the first one. It's like, okay, they know what they're doing now. They're just making a flat-out, ridiculous comedy.
And they're not trying to justify why there are Sharknadoes.
No, and the fact that that the tornado goes out over the sea, sucks up only sharks.
Yeah.
And all kinds of sharks. and the sharks are flying through the air at near supersonic speed, and instead of being like gasping for oxygen
and being torn apart
and fearful for their lives being smashed on the pavement, the sharks are merely hungry.
Yes.
And waiting for a human to get close enough so they can eat him.
And of course they do.
Yeah.
And the whole thing with the chainsaw, I just saw that, especially when he jumped up on the bus with that chainsaw, and I'm going, okay, where's the thing coming across that he's going to cut lengthways?
And he did.
And he did. Perfectly lengthways cut.
Yeah.
The whole rivalry between L.A. and New York.
Well, what was it?
The first one was in L.A.
The first one, I know, but this one, it's more like, isn't it more a rivalry between New York and New Jersey?
So there's some of that as well. There's some of that as well, but there's
it's like you can't get a chainsaw in New York.
Yeah,
there are no chainsaws in New York.
You got to go to Jersey.
You got to go to Jersey to get a chainsaw. But somehow the mayor does manage to find them some chainsaws.
Yeah, and then the Mets game they go to as well, and all that. Yeah, it's just. a lot of New Yorkers just wanted to get in there. They were trying to make it, New York is, we can conquer all.
Well, it's
and,
bigger,
you know, those
bigger
big,
and better.
those big pussies in L.A. couldn't handle the Sharknado, but we know how to handle a Sharknado.
Yeah. Robert Klein is very good playing the big mouth mayor, and Rob Ford showing up. That's pretty cute. almost topical, you could call it. So let's just run through the movies. Well, I'll give one more plug to my friend M.F. Wall. Disease is the book. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it lots of other places. But if you do a search, Google disease and M.F. Wall, W-A-H-L.
Because if you just do disease, I don't think you'll find it.
You find lots of disease. So there's that, and let's just look at the movie. So, The Purge Anarchy. Would you recommend it, Mark?
Yes, I would, actually.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, I wasn't expecting to.
Right.
But it actually entertained me.
Good. Guardians of the Galaxy, Mark liked
big
it.
thumbs up.
I found everything about it mediocre except the special effects. So if you want to go see special effects, then definitely.
No, if you want to go see a good movie, go see it.
Yeah, right. Child of God, that's a movie with a good script and good acting in it. It's very sad.
It's a very dark, sad movie, and if you feel like being that way, it's the movie for you.
Yeah. In fact, play that at the same time as Guardians of the Galaxy.
It'll offset each other.
Your head will explode. Afflicted, written and directed by Derek Lee and Cliff Prowse. I thought it was really
entertaining. Very entertaining. And very slick, considering.
A good found footage vampire movie.
Yeah.
I don't know that those words have ever been said before. 2-bedroom, 1 bath. A decent little thriller. Almost more thriller than horror movie, but definitely a bit of a haunted.
There's a haunted mystery going on, and I found the dream sequences very entertaining.
Right.
Well done.
Good. Lucid. Mark didn't see it. I really liked it. Check it out if it's playing at a festival or if you can find a copy online. And Sharknado 2.
The second one.
Very good movie.
Just the title.
Yeah.
I mean, the first one, they sold on the title, and they really didn't sell it on the movie itself because it really sucked. The movie really was. Yeah. But this time they had a decent budget, and everybody and their dog, like I said, wanted to be in it. So there was lots of comedy.
It was very funny.
And cameos.
Yeah. And much more akin to the first movie that they parody, which is Airplane.
Yeah.
Much more akin to Airplane than, say, Jaws.
Yeah.
But they take off on all kinds of movies. So those are the movies. We'll be back next week, folks. I think next week we'll probably be talking, it'll be an all-TV show episode. Lots of zombies and other stuff.
But TV shows you probably haven't seen.
Maybe some of them. Well,
some
it depends
of them.
where they live.
Yeah, it depends on them.
We have British listeners. There's some British
most
TV shows.
Most of them are from Britain and a couple from the U.S.,
Yeah. Okay, folks. So it's so long.